Hello, welcome to the Live Reality Games podcast. My name is Steven, and I am back today to talk about Survivor British Columbia, Episode 3. This was a double boot episode and a wild one, and so I'm excited to talk about it, and I have a couple guests I'm going to bring in just a second. First, this season is already spoiled. It was live streamed on Facebook. However, me and my guests will only be talking about all the episodes that have aired to this day up to Episode 3. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Chris and Kevin. Chris and Kevin you were unfortunately the people voted out this past episode. It was brutal in many regards, but I'm so excited that you're joining me today to talk about everything.
Yeah,
hey, Steven. Thanks for having us.
Now, both of you have, a lot of players in the season have a lengthy LRG experience. Chris, you played Pirate Booty Camp. You played Survival Challenge 2016, 2015?
2015, yeah.
2015, you are the head honcho behind Survivor New York. Is there anything else I'm missing on your resume?
Survivor Brooklyn South, the Ultimate Challenger, a couple other ones. Can't even think of it. It's been so long since I played, but there are a lot of great ones out there.
And Kevin, you played Survivor Pacific Northwest Fans versus Favorites. You also played Survivor Los Angeles with the same season as David, though you end up on different tribes.
Yes, those are the only two experiences I had. The Survivor Pacific Northwest was 2 weeks prior to this season of Survivor BC. So that was very close in my mind for me. And Survivor LA was the previous year.
And so before we get into the episode, I'd like to talk to each of you. What was your thought or strategy coming to the game? How did you want to approach it? And maybe how is it going to be different from other games you played? Chris, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I said it in my intro. I wanted to have no strategy going into the game because every other game I had the strategy, or I'd go in and work with these type of people or try to achieve this certain type of goal. But I just wanted to go in and be fully me, which was, someone that played in many LRGs. I didn't want to hide that. Every other game I've ever played, I've hid that because it's always a hindrance to me. And I wanted to be a lot more vocal and a lot more, giving my advice out to these players. And you see that in like this first episode where everyone's like standing around not knowing what to do, what to strategize. And I tell them, guys, we should just split off into pairs and just make it easy.
I feel that's the survival challenge coming out of you, where like survival challenge, you have 5 minutes. We need the strategy. Let's just go do it.
Sometimes not even 5 minutes. It was like 30 seconds out there. Luckily, it wasn't like that in Survivor BC. It was a little bit more time than that. But yeah, I thought my vocalness might attract people to somebody that knows what they're doing out there. Mm-hmm. And I saw Stacy doing the complete opposite. She didn't want anybody to know what games she's played. She didn't even really want, I feel like, to talk to me so much because she didn't want people to think that we knew each other, even though we did. Mm-hmm. So it actually worked completely against me. And that is the reason why I was voted out. And it's okay.
I remember Stacy telling me that she didn't want anyone to know that she had played before. And I was like, okay, when I kept that secret, but I was curious. I didn't realize that you had encountered her before, but she has a lengthy resume, so I guess I'm not surprised you've encountered her before.
We had both played Pirate Booty Camp on opposite tribes, but we've interacted, and then she did play in Survival Brooklyn South, which I was on production for. So I actually heard her laughing when we were all blindfolded, and I knew it was her, and I was like, oh, there's Stacy, the hippo lady.
Heading to that, I also heard her laughing while we were blindfolded. I had no idea who she was, but sometime before on the Live Reality Games group, I think I had seen her post this video of her eating a cricket or something, and I remember watching.
It was some large bug.
Yeah, and then I just remember her laugh, and I was blindfolded. I heard that laugh, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Stacy. I want to align with her. Nothing happened because we never had the chance, but very memorable personality.
Kevin, coming in so hot off of Survivor Pacific Northwest, what was your approach coming into Survivor BC?
I wouldn't say I came off of it hot. It didn't go too well. But so in Survivor Pacific Northwest, it's already been aired and done episodes as much as it can be. So I'll spoil that I was first boot, which did not, it wasn't great. I was in a tribe with many other Survivor BC alum, other Canadians, and don't know if I necessarily had a chance there. But my flaw that I took away from that Survivor, I was very aggressive in that and didn't really make any deep connections. So going into Survivor BC 2 weeks later, my goal was to just try to make those deep connections I didn't have before, and not play too fast. Also, I wanted to actually win a challenge, because in Pacific Northwest, the one challenge I was a part of, I did terribly. It was not great. And even in Survivor LA the year before, my tribe, we never won a challenge. So up until Survivor BC, I had no wins under my belt. So that was my goal: try to win something, make some connections, and hopefully do better.
And you do check that one bucket list of winning the challenge, right? You are instrumental in that first immunity challenge with that ridiculously difficult ball maze that they don't show in the episode the full glory of you beat it, but we struggled for a long time, both tribes, on that, and you're the one that conquered it.
I was shaking. Yeah, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking. I had seen those like games and Toys R Us's growing up, and had always wanted to play that. So
I feel like it's funny though, because like whoever had Kevin was gonna win that challenge, like hands down. Like, and it's so funny thinking back, because like all those steps that everyone kept sucking at, like like the tubes, that meant nothing as long as you had Kevin on your tribe, because Ula Ula would have never gotten it. We could have been there for 3 days, we would have never got it.
Because I remember even afterwards, we snuck away with one of those just to play around with our camp, and I messed around with it a fair amount of time, and I was never that great at it either. Well, before we get to the episode, I'd like to kind of check in with Chris. You and Ula Ula, you've won the second immunity challenge, right? The steal the bacon / life preserver. You're safe from the vote. So where do you feel the tribe is at right now?
Well, I would like to start by saying that the episode was edited where there were certain rounds that were taken out. Tony and I did go head to head, and I beat Tony. I went inside that ring and had to dig through the ground with like grass in my fingernails just to get to the platform. There was a lot of good matchups not shown, and I just want to say that I did win a point. Yeah. But anyway, the tribes going into that basically was going into this moment of safety for like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we really just spent so much time looking for those damn medallions. I mean, we searched high and low looking for the idol. Like that was like our focus. I don't remember really doing anything else other than that. There was little strategy unless we lost going on. I can't really remember anything other than like me and Lexi going through every log and crawling through the grounds looking for medallions and getting all dirty. And we could not find an idol for our lives. It was insane.
Michael DeLucas wants the world to know that you were wrong, Chris.
Michael's a king, so he's definitely correct.
Who were you feeling close with in the tribe, and who, if you had lost, were you thinking like, I should push for this name?
It's actually kind of embarrassing in a way, because it's like the people I felt the closest to are the people that are the ones that took me out. Like you see me talking about Lexi, saying nice things about her, but she is the reason my name got thrown out there and it sort of steamrolled and everything like that. I had pledged a strong allegiance to David. Like he was somebody I would never turn on. I had his back 100%. You could see in the episode I talk about, if we get an idol, if we get any sort of advantage, we should help give it to David, because he's going to be the target. Come a swap, come a merge. And, that's my importance. That's my focus. And to see them both turn on me, it was tough. I had thought I was put into this false sense of safety between those two and Lindsay and Kristen. So I felt secure enough where I felt like I could call the shot of Aleem going home and it would just be that simple, and it wasn't. But I felt like in my mind at that time, I had a really great relationship with everybody. And the way it was edited, it seems like it was a tough decision for a lot of people. And I don't know if that's really that true, because at the time it felt like it was like very easy for them and they were very happy about it. But I do remember a lot of them telling me, like, we really don't want you to go. If you have an idol, play it. Everyone kept saying to me over and over, if you have an idol, please play it, Chris.
That's not helpful.
And I was like, okay, I don't have the time to really go look for one, but okay.
We actually kick off the episode with you, Kevin, kind of explaining through what happened in the previous tribal council with Nav going out and you casting your vote for Tony. Is there anything more you want to kind of talk about that and what you're feeling right after that tribal council?
No, I think that really encompassed everything pretty well. I forgot I had that confessional. I think I even sat for 3 the whole game. But yeah, I think that sums it up. I can't recall if I mentioned in it, though, that before the vote, I did talk to those in my tribe and said, hey, I'm going to cast a vote for Tony. I told Tony, I believe, first, and was like, I have to respect my prior commitment. I'm putting a vote your way. You're only getting these 2 votes. I don't want you out. And I just put that out there, hopefully, thinking that it wasn't going to bite me in the butt later.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I knew that you were casting. You had told me, or someone told me, so it wasn't a surprise to me when those 2 votes for Tony came out and the rest for Naya. So it seemed there wasn't much mystery to the tribal council for the rest of the tribe.
No, I think I had a pretty public crisis in front of a lot of people when I found out that that Naya was going to get the votes versus someone else.
Did you have to-do list or game plan of what you wanted to do or talk to when you got back to camp after that tribal?
After that tribal, I mean, on the walk back from tribal is when I started recalculating in my head and trying to reframe, okay, this sucked, but I'm not going to let this define the rest of my game. And then from that point, pretty much the second I sat or put foot into our camp, I was like, okay, I want to apologize and make it clear that I'm not still going to be isolated. I'm not still going for Tony. But I don't know if I did a very good job at that.
Well, so the next thing I remember, and this is an episode, is we're all taken apart by production, and we're said hey, you're doing basically touchy subjects, but you're putting names out for the other tribe. And I remember I had no idea what was going on when all production descends on Bato and they grab us on each direction. And Taylor realized go alphabetical order, and I'm just I don't know what that means. And so we end up doing this survey. Do you either have memories of who you put for what, or did you have a strategy for when you're nominating names of other tribe?
No strategy. It was mostly a lot of names I couldn't even remember. I think Jaira was with me, helping to ask the questions, and I had to point at a picture of different people and describe them. The little one being Kristen, or I definitely voted for Lindsay on a couple because it's I can remember her name because I knew her before.
That's funny. I just had to dig in my collective memory to even remember who did mine, and it just came back to me for the first time in 3 years. I think it was Cole, but I don't remember any single answer that I wrote. Isn't that sad?
I mean, I think I tried to put some of my own tribe for one in accident or something. I don't recall it. I think I had Cole as well.
I think the 3 of us, none of us got many answers. I got tied for best dancer with Aleem, and I was like, really? That's all you guys can give me? That's not fun. I want something good.
I mean, you got some. We'll go into them. Don't worry. So we get to the reward. We get the challenge. We learn that it's not an immunity challenge. We're doing a reward challenge for pizza, but the downside is we're both going to tribal council. However, we're given a choice. You can compete in the reward challenge and hopefully have the reward, or you compete in an individual immunity challenge for your tribe. Did any of you, were either of you thinking like I should go ahead and take a stab at immunity, or were you always playing for reward?
For me, as soon as I saw that the challenge was balancing, I was definitely all in for the reward. I'm terrible at balancing, and also I wanted to, continue along the brand of loyalty, wanting to win back trust. Knowing if there would be a swap, when it would be. For me, it was a no-brainer. Looking back, I mean, to have a chance of playing the individual immunity challenge, and if I knew that I would automatically get immunity, I mean, hell yeah, I'd take it.
I mean, we'll talk about it later. Things would have been very different if you were immune, and I think you would have been the swing vote and whatever you wanted to happen in that tribe. Chris, what about yourself?
It's one of my most haunting moments out there for sure, because I, didn't even really see the purpose that we all needed to compete in the challenge. If 2 people wanted to compete for individual immunity, the other 5 would have been able to do the reward and still win. That was the first big red flag in the game for me, because David was whispering to everybody, choose a reward, don't choose individual immunity, choose a reward. And everybody made their choice, and we're standing next to each other, and he's like, you chose the reward, right? You better have chose the reward. And I was like, yeah, I chose the reward. And he's like, okay, good, because you should choose the reward. And that was like my first moment. I was like, is he not with me? Like, I don't understand why he would talk like that to me. And I should have looked into it further, and I regret that.
Yeah, because Kevin, I don't think any of us in our tribe talked about our choice.
I believe it came up, I think, pretty close to deciding.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Keegan or someone, maybe Taylor, mentioning okay, let's all go together. I remember some sort of discussion coming up.
Because I remember for me, it was big in the tribe unity. I want people to think I'm a tribe player, therefore I can't go for immunity. I felt like that was weighing very hard on me at that point in the game as well.
Yeah, I don't think it was as coercive as maybe David was, but I think there was just maybe it was all genuine, where everyone in our tribe was like, yeah, we're a unit, and we got this.
Guys, anybody watching needs to take this as a life lesson. If you have the opportunity, take it. That's it. Yeah. Take it. Fuck tribe loyalty, okay? It will only go so far. Take the immunity, especially because if Kevin and I just held that one chip, we would have been automatically immune, because everyone else was thinking tribe loyalty. Then we make it to the swap. I think about this too much. That's why I'm glad the episodes have aired and it's over, because now I don't have to think about it. But yeah, take it.
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned from Survivor games is greed is actually kind of good.
Hell yeah.
It's interesting that this is season 6 of Survivor BC. Season 5 that previously aired, if I remember right, almost everyone, or maybe it's next month, I don't know, I believe that everyone opted to play individual immunity at the cost of reward.
Season 5, right? Season 5 has a moment where both tribes compete for immunity solo, because both tribes are in the tribal council, and one of the tribes, everyone opts out of competing, and everyone goes to immunity. Everyone goes, and the other one, Jeff, takes immunity and is immune. Okay. And so you have that moment where everyone chooses to stand down, because there's a lot of talk of tribe. This is Tyler Kakuna's tribe. This is going on, and by the way,
I think I'm thinking accidental spoilers. So
well. I'm thinking season 7 and 8. I should know the seasons. I don't recall those dilemmas, but I could be wrong. It's in a wiki somewhere. So
I remember watching a Survivor BC after I played, and seeing so many people opting to play and thinking, wow, or maybe it was Pacific Northwest. I think it was Pacific Northwest. But then seeing wow, okay, I was being foolish. Selfless.
So we get to this essentially kind of a reverse touchy subject, and it's an interesting thing because you might get a terrible category, but what does it mean when people are just rolling off of first impressions? So I think notable ones is Chris, you win most schemy for
I just realized that.
yeah, you're complaining like, no, people didn't remember me for anything. No, you get the most schemy award. Do you remember how you felt when you got that designation?
Well, first of all, I'm writing it on the erase board, and I remember the conversation, and they all, that's the second red, that's the first red flag, or maybe that's the second red flag after the coin choice, was they're all saying, oh, it's you, it's definitely you. So I have to write my name on the dry erase board that I'm the most scheming. I'm thinking like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm the most scheming? And then the other tribe doesn't even vote for me. Right? They didn't.
Yeah. I think like I can't remember if like I either your tribe answer Liam, the answer was you, or the tribe answer you, the answer was a Liam. It was one of the other.
It was the tribe answered me, but the answer was a Liam.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
And then let's see, I'm scrolling through the list. Kevin, you get most likely to win the game.
Yeah. Which
nice.
is nice when you're not still playing.
I don't remember if there is anything else notable for the two of you. I get tribe leader, which I was like stunned by, I guess, like because I'm tall.
That's literally, I think, what it was. I remember voting you for that. Sorry, just because you're tall, you look like demanding. I mean, Kevin, I think I put him for most likely to win the game because he just seemed so nice and just so genuine. I remember that.
Yeah, and I don't remember I don't think on our tribe there was much fallout from this happening. But your tribe ends up winning pizza. Your tribe wins reward, but unfortunately, your tribe is going to go to the tribal council first as a result. And so, kind of walk me through how things fall apart, because it seems like from the episode, you and Lindsay are close. You have this plan of pushing for a Liam, but things kind of spiral out of control.
Right. So it just kind of went all over the place. I remember the conversation starting with Kristen and Stacy. We're all on board for a Liam. It was pretty cut and dry for the three of us, but Lexi had other plans, and apparently through David's confessional, he did not care which way the vote was going to go. So I think he was just easily influenced by Lexi, and he had said in the first episode that he wanted me gone along with Noah because, you know, we're too strategic or whatever, and I posed a threat to his game because we were playing two similar games, and there just can't be two of us. For Lindsay, I could tell we were very close, but there was a moment where she told me Lexi's plan. That was the first time I had heard that my name was on the chopping block. And I went and I confronted Lexi about it. And Lexi got really like taken aback that I knew her plan, and she was upset about it. So she went and told Lindsay that I had told her that she had told the plan or whatever. And then I could see Lindsay getting upset and Lexi getting upset, and Lindsay, her face was like red as a brick, and she came over to me and she's like, yeah, we're not voting for you, don't worry, you're definitely safe. And I could tell right then and there she was lying, because she had explained so many times in the game earlier that she's not a good liar, she can't lie, it's very difficult for her to lie. And I could tell this was like really hard for her. And I could tell also that the group had said, you need to go to Chris and you need to lie and tell him that he's not going home, or something like that. Or I don't understand why she would, tell me what she did. There was also a moment I remember being by the watering well, and I was completely alone. And I said, you know what? In Survivor, if you're alone, that means you're in trouble. Like, nobody wanted to talk to me in that moment. Everyone else was paired off. I was like, this is not a good sign. I need to jump into every group and any group that I can. I just started jumping around, trying to save my ass. And then there was another moment where it's just Salim and I sitting on a log. Everyone else is talking. They're discussing which one of the two of us is going to be voted out. And I turned to him and I looked at him and I said, doesn't this feel so sad to you that one of us two is going to be voted out and we're just sitting here waiting for them to decide? And he's very nonchalant about it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's just a game. And I was like, yeah, I know. I flew out here. I mean, you've played these two, I think, and you lost. Wouldn't you want to win this game? I mean, if we put our forces together right now, we just need two people. If you want, I'm willing to do that with you, and we could turn this vote. All we need is two people. It's not impossible." And he said, "No, I'm good." And then I was like, "Okay, well, I'm really screwed now. Nobody wants to work with me." And I just kept like confronting them and asking, like, at least I want to know the reason. I want to ask them, what is their reason? If I'm going to go home and never see these people again, like, I want to know why I'm going home. And they just kept telling me that I am the biggest threat. They think that if there's a swap, I would swap on every single one of them and turn on them and vote them out. There's no merit to that. And I kept explaining that to them. And I truthfully would have blindly followed them into the merge, and I could easily have been, voted out just from, following along and letting David lead the charge. And I was okay with that at that point. So yeah, that was pretty much my fight till the bitter end. And as we're walking to tribal, every single one of them just kept coming up to me saying like, "Oh," except for Lexi, saying like, "Oh, I love you. I want you to stay. You need to play an idol. If you have an idol, just play an idol. You'll be fine." And then Stacy will go home. And I was like, that sucks because I don't want Stacy to go home. And I don't have an idol. And there's no time for us to turn around and go look for one. So it's over. And I knew that I was going home. But it was okay at that point because I knew I did everything that I could do.
I mean, if you could time travel even further back, how could you have done something differently outside of just simply like taking that coin to be immune as a result of that challenge?
Oh my gosh, should I tell you like after watching the episode or like just my thoughts?
We endorse all alternate timelines on this podcast.
Well, okay, cool, because I love multiverses. I'm a big Marvel fan. Watching the episode, it was seriously, what if? Seeing Noah and Aleem like say, "Hey, let's go talk to Stacy and Chris, and let's go try and get Kristen out." I didn't realize how easy it was for them to want to vote Kristen out and how quick it could have happened. And if Stacy and I had made that move, we could have solidified something with Noah and Aleem right there, and it would have been a foursome if they wanted that. But the thing is, I was too tied up in my friendship with Kristen and believing Kristen would be a great ally to me that I would never even considered it. And that's something I take from this game is now you should never not consider somebody as a potential vote off just because you think they're good for your game. It's episode 1. You can always find new people along the way. I should have voted Kristen out first if as long as Stacy was okay with it and the four of us had become a thing, I should have just done it just to gain some sort of power in the game. But I went with the different route of trying to target Noah just because he was just so spastic and just so crazy,
To be fair, Noah sat down with you and said, "By the way, in my perfect world, you're third out." And you're just like, huh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's also the other reason why. I mean, I made the right decision at the time thinking about the moments and like everything he said, but yeah.
I will say you have some really gracious parting words.
Oh God.
After you're voted out. Like it was like really heartfelt.
Yeah, I kind of just mumbled. I was really tired, but I everything I said was true. But the most embarrassing thing has to be, you don't see it. Actually, this is another cute little moment. Is like, I thought David was my friend, so as I was getting up to leave, I gave him all my medallions and I said to him, "Good luck in the game. I really hope you do well." But now, looking back, I wish I didn't say that. So I get up and I storm out. I didn't realize I ran over to my torch and I ran out. And I got snuffed and I just ran out because I just wanted to get away from all of them. And as I left, I'll never forget. I said, "I'll talk to none of you ever again," or something stupid like that. But it's not true. I've talked to Kristen and Stacy, so we're good.
Well, Kevin, while all this is happening, we are strategizing off in the Baton camp, and this is something I regret. So we leave the challenge, we get back to our camp, and we kind of like, how are we going to split off? And I think I say like, who like, does anyone want to talk with me? And you say yes, or something like that. Somehow we agree that we'll talk, and we go on one trail, and everyone else in the tribe goes in the left trail. And as soon as you and I are alone in our trail, and you see this, it's the opening scene for our strategizing. I'm just like, oh, this is really bad. It's just like, it's quick, like, oh shoot. And I'm like, and that's what I was saying. And I don't know, like, I was like, I can't tell Kevin, I think they're voting for you, but I can't tell Kevin, like, I think we should be worried.
You were kind. You definitely picked up on the, I'm in trouble vibe before I did. Because I thought, like, okay, I'm re-ingratiating myself with the group. I get to talk about Steven. I never got to talk strategy with Steven really until this point. So it's like, okay, cool. Everything's great.
A major mistake in my game. Like, it took me like this round to figure, like, wow, Kevin and I are really similar, and like I really like him, probably because we're so similar. And I was like, oh, I really should have capitalized on this like 18 hours ago.
Yeah, instead of just playing
now.
like rope toss, like bros, without talking about anything like strategy or deep. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. So like, what did you see the battle lines being at this point?
At this point, so I had you, Lori, and Rachel as the thing. I had understanding that you three were together. I knew that like Keegan and Taylor were a thing. I was a little bit uncertain about where Tony lied in all of this. I thought I had a thing. I thought I was essentially like I thought I was closer to Keegan and Taylor than Tony was to them. So I thought maybe I was in that position. So I thought like, okay, like I'll be probably fine. I knew like my name would probably come up at some point. Even though we hadn't, Stephen, you and I hadn't specifically talked about like, okay, let's align. I figured that we had enough of like, conversation going on before then where we wouldn't target each other and like give each other a heads up. But I mean, in my head, I was thinking it's either going to be Tony, Lori, or Rachel. Maybe, but of course not me.
While you and I are talking, I'm starting like oh no in my head. The other five get together and it was really interesting seeing like how this evolved, right? Because I only heard of it, and Keegan's the one that kind of says like, he's the one that throws your name out first. He's like, I think he's like, I'm worried after the last vote, how emotional Kevin was, and you kind of get a similar talk to Chris, what you're talking about, like this idea of unity and loyalty, like who's going to be more loyal to us in this swap. And I think there's some like maybe Steven's gonna be more loyal than Kevin, but then you get this comment from Keegan saying how down would Steven be to vote out Kevin? How comfortable would he be for that? And after you and I scatter, I spend the rest of the round swearing up and down like, yes, I will vote for Kevin. I will be loyal. Why are you questioning me? Everyone was like, can you vote for Kevin? Can you really vote for Kevin? Would you vote? We don't know if you'll vote for Kevin. I'm like, no, I swear I'll vote for Kevin. Trust me. And that's what you don't get to see it. That's what I spend the rest of the round doing is damage control after that one meeting where everyone else came together and said, yes, it's either Kevin or maybe Steven, but we think Kevin.
Yeah, that's rough.
Because we see in scenes you're talking to Taylor, you have a conversation with Tony where you're kind of all just like, it's like kind of trying to like not tell each other that you're voting for each other. Like, how were you feel? Like, did you have what other conversations were you having that we didn't see?
So the ones I did remember, I mean, I think the ones that were shown were the ones that were most important to me. I think I had little ones with, maybe like briefly with, Rachel and Lori throughout the game. I never really had, deep strategic conversations with them. They never really approached me. I think I approached Lori once, and yeah, it was never really going to happen. Unfortunately, I know at that point in the game, I guess going back to the touchy subjects, two of the other things that I won, it was like, who's most carrying the team? I got that. So I was like, oh crap. I'm seen as some sort of like a challenge threat, which I've gone to a
Yeah,
challenge.
we saw you win like most of your rounds in the in the Steal the Bacon too.
Yeah, that was great for the ego and not good for the game. And then also, who's most likely to have an alliance with everyone, which also is not a good seed to have in people's minds. So I just wanted to, come into this round with being like really straightforward, not be schemy. And I didn't really have too many conversations. I obviously talked with you, talked with Taylor, and that was a big one where even though it wasn't really shown too much in these last few episodes, I thought of Taylor as probably my next closest ally after Naya, because I think the first very early on in the game, and I think Taylor mentions it, is that like I approached Taylor and was like, okay, your first boots, I was a first boot in Northwest just 2 weeks ago. I understand where you're coming from. Let's make sure this doesn't happen. I also gathered Naya, got us three together, and tried to put together a group of like, okay, we're going to have each other's backs, and everyone seemed to be on that page at the time. And then when I had gotten a moment where Keegan was also in the same general area, I then made it solidified, and I was playing a little bit fast, and that was like kind of the first alliance.
It's a fast game, right? Like this is my first game playing where you didn't have like a full 24 hours with just your tribe, and we went to tribal council in the first like 12. And so I feel like playing fast, maybe Chris, you have thoughts. I don't think that's a bad thing per se for like Survivor BC in this case.
Yeah. So at that point, because of those like earlier conversations, I thought for sure I had Taylor in my court, and I thought I probably had Keegan. We weren't super close, but I didn't think you'd throw my name out at least. And then Tony, I thought that it's funny because I voted for Tony every single time. But I liked Tony. I didn't want him out. The night before, or the first night, Tony was off, like started to sleep by himself. I was the one that was like, Tony, come over here, sleep by me. Like,
yeah, I remember he just said, no, I'm fine. I was like, all right.
And then I eventually got him to come over, and then he ended up being right over there. And I was like, okay, great. I want to like befriend him, and then like maybe we can figure out an alliance. Little did I know is that I would be voting against him every time. But my first vote with Naya, it was Naya's idea, and it was just like, okay, I'll do solidarity. And I believe with the second vote, I believe it was Taylor that threw out Tony's name. And then I was like, Taylor won't betray me. Okay, sorry, Tony. Yeah. So it was kind of a clusterfuck.
I love Tony, by the way. Tony and I got to play in the Ultimate Challenger together.
Really?
A few years back. It was a great game. It was a lot of fun in the dead of heat in Arizona. And we formed an unlikely alliance. When I saw him out there, I was like, oh, I really want to play with Tony. He's literally one of the most loyal, kind-hearted guys out there. And I was really disappointed. When him and I competed in that second immunity challenge where we had to grab the ring, we actually were whispering each other saying like, it's so nice to see you again. I can't wait. If we make it the merge, we have to stick together. How are you doing over there? We had so much time pulling back and forth. We were having a full-on conversation. But yeah, I love Tony. And to hear that you had to vote for him twice, Kevin, that's sad, because I feel like you guys could have been a great pair.
Yeah, it's funny how it shook out. But
yeah.
Well, from there we go to the tribal council. We get to watch Ula eat pizza in front of us. It's like because I played Reelfoot that summer, and then BC decided to watch two different tribes eat pizza in front of me that summer. I was less than thrilled by the experience, and you end up getting voted out in a 6-1 vote. And so I think I would like to go from here to kind of play a little what if. Like, what would you have done in certain circumstances, right? We're going to embrace all the multiverses. So I think we kind of talked about the Chris, but more formally, if you had taken immunity, the individual immunity, who would you try to vote out?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, like
Oh
if
my
you had
gosh, I
taken
thought you were
any-
talking. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to Kevin.
first one to speak up wins.
Okay, then I saw Kevin's face and I was like, oh. Who would I have taken? Oh, I mean, I would have definitely still went for Aleem. There really wasn't an option. If I had immunity, it would always be Aleem.
Mhm.
I think with immunity though, I get what I want, and Aleem is voted out. I don't think. I mean, the only other option would be Stacy. I think she did get an extra vote when I was voted out as sort of like the throwaway
Insurance.
person in case he had insurance. So if I don't get my way of Aleem, then I think the majority would have voted Stacy out. And
Mhm.
if I had saw Stacy leave in the swap, I would have most likely flipped 100% and just completely given up on Ula Ula, because that would have been like the big red flag for me. But if
Mhm.
they had stuck and got rid of Aleem, then I would have been 100% loyal. The only thing was, David does have this extra vote.
Mhm.
Um, so that really plays into a lot of different strategies, but most likely it would be Stacey or Liam.
Because to my knowledge, Ulu was all about we want to be on David's tribe in a potential swap because an extra vote can change things around, and we'll talk about a lot more on future episodes and ramifications. But Kevin, you take immunity. What is your goal on Bounty coming back to camp?
So if I have immunity, and let's also extend the what if to if I was able to like put out a target before talking to Taylor and then trusting her, because I feel like if she said like, okay, it's Tony, I probably would have gone with that. If Taylor hadn't said Tony to then like backstab me because I wouldn't have been a target, I think I would have wanted to point it towards to Lori or Rachel. Those were my initial two targets at the beginning of the game. And initially, it was Rachel because we didn't really click early on, and then we did the first challenge, or I guess second challenge. I guess both the first two challenges where Lori, she and I like we did the tubes together at one point, and we were having a lot of miscommunication. I know I was getting a little bit frustrated there, and she kind of crept up on my like, oh, okay, maybe she's not helping our team for challenges. So she kind of became higher on my list because of that. And Rachel, who was kind of highest on my list before, she kind of she crept down, I'd say, after the life ring challenge where she was
drag Chris into the dirt challenge.
Yeah, after that, it's just like, okay, props. I'm not gonna vote you out after this because that was impressive. But yeah, I would probably still be pushing for one of them, and I could see that happening with, say, if you have Keegan and Taylor that aren't putting my name down, and hopefully them knowing that they still have. Hopefully them knowing that they have a relationship with me would bring me in with Tony, and I would have advocated to not take you out, Stephen, because
that makes you feel better.
I can't recall if a conversation was brought up where I was like, okay, maybe we can bring in Stephen, or I mentioned like, oh, not Stephen. I did protect you one time because I wanted to like have you on the side. I wanted you as my side piece, Stephen.
I would have
happened.
Yeah, because if you have like Taylor, Keegan, Tony on one side, and then you have Stephen, Lori, Rachel on the other side, and you're kind of a swing vote. If you have been like, nope, I want Lori and Rachel, and I can't convince you, like, can we take out Tony or even dare I say Keegan? Like, I probably would have had to capitulate at that point, right? Because I think there was such an onus on like, let's keep the tribes like together and like happy and unified because we don't know what the swap's going to look like. So I probably would have had to capitulate your way if you're like, nope, I want Lori out. Yeah. Of course. I mean, I'll just say this now because she hasn't. We just haven't revealed that Lori has the Batuhan idol, right? And she finds it early on, and so who knows what madness could have come from there. Next, what if, Chris? You find the Ula Ula idol that is in your possession. Do you tell people? do you like at this point? Let's say the same thing happens where you find the idol in the scrambling. Everyone's telling you to play it, that you're going home. Do you still vote Aleem? Do you try to rope in Stacy? Do you try to like get revenge on someone else instead?
Um, I definitely have had time to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have scared the shit out of everybody. Said, "Yeah, I have an idol. You guys can vote for me. I'm gonna play this idol regardless of what you say. I am voting for Aleem. I could use this for this tribe during a swap, but you guys ruined that. You tainted my mindset that you guys don't want to work with me. So I will be here, and I will be here in the swap with all of you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would have to think if I'm really gonna play it. Part of me would say not to play it because they'd be so afraid, and then I could possibly save it, but I'd probably end up playing it. And I would tell Stacy about it, and I would hope Aleem still goes. It makes me seem like I'm such an Aleem hater. It just we're completely different people. Like there was no common threads, and I get that, that maybe it was the same way for him, and I rubbed him the wrong way. I bonded way more better with everyone else, but yeah, that's what I would have done.
Kevin, you have the baton idol. What do you do? What do you do at tribal council?
I would share it and I don't know, use it as some sort of bargaining chip to say like, okay, if we come to a swap, we'll have this. I remember going into the game thinking that that's something I would do, just to try to build rapport, and that's why I wanted to do it at this stage, is just kind of blend in, not make any big moves, and just try to be seen as like a piece of the overall puzzle. And
Much
yeah,
like
I don't know if it would have been smart. I wouldn't have played it, I don't think, unless like it was very
much
obvious.
Like David and the extra vote, if you had the idol and you revealed to it, I think there would have been a rallying around effect. Like, we can't vote out Kevin because we want some swap tribe to have this idol. And I think that could have helped you.
Yeah.
Now, final what if, knowing, let's say you walk in the Strider BC and you have this premonition that you will be the third or fourth boot. Your second tribal council is going to be your end unless you change something. Like, is there anything you could have done from the start of the game going forward to make a difference and kind of maybe cause there to be a difference in that second tribal council for you?
For me, I think there were definitely some moments where I felt shy and I just felt like not talking as much as the rest of the group. I mean, I think it was a little bit older. I mean, Stacy, not to be mean, but she was the oldest. And then I think I was the second oldest, or maybe the third oldest there. So there were a lot of conversations and a lot of games, and you see the game being played in the nighttime. Like, I can do this, I can do that. I've totally forgot what that game is all about. I wish I had bonded more closely to people, and I had wished I had solidified like more alliances more openly, like saying like you and me all the way, instead of just like sort of tiptoeing around and being like, yeah, us four should work together or us three should work together, because it just seemed like the tribe wasn't making any solid alliances. They were just kind of making like all these little pacts within the group. I wish I had made something a lot more solid with David right from the get-go, because that was the person that I really did want to work with, but I didn't really solidify anything like Final Four with him. But if I had said to him like in the early parts where I did like him that I wanted to go to the end with him and I would take him to the end, I think I could have resulted differently, for sure.
Kevin, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think if I had known that I was going to get third or fourth out, I probably wouldn't vote with Naya for Tony. Now that's like easy to say.
Yeah.
I think that like not having that information available, I don't think there's many alternate realities where I don't vote with Naya. I really think myself at the time, I was going to do that no matter what. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have voted Tony that first time. And I think the biggest thing would be I would have sought out Lori and Rachel more, Really try to build those connections.
Mhm.
I was at a point where I was like, okay, I just need the sort of majority, and things really didn't line up. But you really do need to build that that net that can catch you, not just rely on to be your top people, because if they don't have your back, you're done and you'll never know it. And that's what happened in my case.
Is there anything else about your games that you want to bring up that we haven't talked about already?
If I was on the opposite tribe from the get-go, which I should have been because I was wearing all black in the game, I think
You're still
I
wearing
would
all
have.
black now. You're a Batman at heart, Chris.
I think if I was actually talking to Kristen, because Kristen and I do talk a lot about all the episodes. We were saying how we felt like the tribes were they were not as matched as they could have been. Like, I feel like you two should have been on opposite tribes. I think that if I was on the black tribe, I would still be in the game, and I probably would have gone a lot deeper in the game. And I think also same for Kevin. I think if he was on the blue tribe instead of me, like, let's just switch us two, I think we both would have made it to the merge.
I do think that, but also I think Jared did in my case, a decently good job of separating me from those connections. And while I did play technically Survivor Pacific Northwest with Keegan, we never always did is see each other at the beginning, before we started the game, and said hi, and then 2 weeks later I ended up playing with him. But on the other side, David, who in Survivor LA the year prior I knew as DW, had voted me out. I voted against him. Perhaps we could have rekindled something there. I wanted to play with Stacy because of that video that I had heard. Kristen, I wanted to play with her from the first Hunger Games opening of the whole game. Lindsay, who I knew going into the game and encouraged to apply. I mean, I think that's an easy someone to work with. And I mean, we certainly would have worked with each other pre-merge. And it's obviously I'm separated from these different people for a reason. I think if I was able to make it to the swap, I think I would have a good chance of getting to, I think, the top 6. I think with the game I played, I probably would have ended up maybe around 6 or something, just because of those innate connections, not necessarily because I was playing a good game. But yeah, I don't know. It's exciting to have been able to play with all these people.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, if you were on the Batman tribe, I would have been stoked to work with you, because the Survival Challenge 2015 videos were my first experience ever watching at LRG, and that's how I recognized you in the game. So I would have been a little starstruck or really excited for that.
It was honestly one of the best parts of the whole experience was meeting you, Steven, and you too, Kevin. Totally made the experience so much better, because I rushed out of Canada because I was just so, I guess, embarrassed and upset about everything, the way that it had unfolded from my mindset at that time. But meeting you guys turned that around for sure. Steven, you said you were so excited to meet me because of what you said about watching the videos, and I felt oh, that's just so cool that you know my game, and that I played in that, and you watched it. And spending so much time with Kevin just after the game in our hotel room, and going around to the the malls, and then your wife picked us up at the hotel and drove us back to the campsite. Just those little moments. Even though I came there to play Survivor, I feel like those moments with you guys are some of the best moments that I had while I was out there. So thank you for that.
It was a great experience, and adding to the the day after, listening to, there was another podcast that was done simultaneously to the game, and Chris and I were kind of maybe hate listening to it, of kind of mad and at people, and I think we were able to commiserate and be able to therapize through some of it.
Well, as we conclude this, I'd like to kind of just throw out a couple just rapid questions to get your kind of quick takes on things. So first of all, blue or black?
Black.
I mean, Batuhan. But I do love blue. I do.
I love both.
Favorite thing about Canada?
Poutine.
Survivor BC.
For me, the weather while we were there was glorious. Biggest misconnection while you were out there?
On our tribe, Steven.
Whoever you want.
On the other tribe, I'd say, yeah, like Chris or Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean misconception or
connection? Like someone you wish you had a chance to work with or get or be close with in the game.
Probably you.
Do you have a favorite small moment back at camp?
Ooh.
Rope toss.
We did a lot of that.
You know
We killed a
what?
lot of time throwing rope around.
A lot of time spent doing rope toss when I should have been strategizing. And another moment that thankfully didn't make the episode, when I should have been strategizing at the final vote that I was there for, I disappeared for a very long time trying to find an appropriate place to go to the bathroom in the woods.
Oh my
God! They have the outhouse in the other tribe.
If you want to vote me out, now is the time to do so. Or if you want to conspire against me. Little did I know that there was more than enough time to do so.
So funny.
Yeah.
For me, actually, it's so funny you talk about it because I haven't thought about it since then. Just like going to sleep and seeing the stars in the middle of the night through the trees, it was absolutely gorgeous because there was no smog, nothing. You know, being in New York, there's no guarantee for stars here, and just like remembering that and seeing that the night that I was in the game was really beautiful.
What is your takeaway from Survivor BC, or what have you learned about yourself as a result of the game?
You want to go first, Kevin?
Sure. I'd say it's very much like a snapshot in time I learned from the game and watching it back where I definitely projected a lot of like where I was feeling, what I was feeling in that moment onto others. And I could see like, this was summer of 2019, so 2.5 years ago. In a way, it feels like so much longer because of COVID. And also it seems like it was just yesterday because, like so many of these memories are ingrained and it was just such a great experience. But like, I know we're like, since a lot of these, holding on to, voting with Naya or like, feeling betrayed in other ways by other people. I feel like since then I've had a lot of time to, grow since then and learn from certain mistakes and also like take whatever actions I did in this game and cultivate whatever values are there. And also I feel like I've just changed a lot in terms of like, less than a week ago I just had a baby.
I forgot to lead the episode with that. First of all, Kevin's now a dad. He has a baby, his daughter Birdie. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Birdie Eleanor Evans, born on January 31st. So it's like 3.5 days.
Have you slept at all?
I have better than my wife, but yeah, I still have crazy bags and I've had a lot of just like waking up in the middle of the nights, having crazy dreams, randomly saying different things. Oh, I tried to cut a breakfast burrito with the straw this morning. So there's that.
Oh,
yeah.
But
it's great.
You're funny.
Chris, what about yourself?
So for me, I had actually been watching Survivor Canada or Survivor BC since the very beginning. I remember maybe like the first episode premiering, I watched week by week, every season. I applied, I think, for season 4. It didn't work out. I applied for season 5. I committed to it. Something came up, so I couldn't make it. Then the next year, which was season 6, I came on and I did it. It was always like a dream of mine to be able to do Survivor BC and to meet Jaira. I have always loved him, and to meet him was like, for me, honestly, it was like equivalent to meeting Jeff, because he's just such a nice, genuine guy, and I took my selfie with him. I always have that, and it was really cool. I felt like I didn't win, but I got to be a part of the Survivor Canada family, which is like a small group of people. Like there's not that many of us that got to say that we played this game, and I learned a lot more about myself in the way of like self-awareness. I need to be more vocal in my life. I need to be stronger in my opinions. I need to do what I want, and whenever I want. And I think in this game I was a little bit too timid at times. I should have just, like for example, been more impulsive and be a little bit more selfish, because it's okay if you are those things. If you are looking out for yourself, that is good. It's not always about everyone else around you. So I think I take that, like if I ever were to play a game again, I know exactly what I need to do the next time, for sure, because of this game.
Chris, Kevin, the three of us are one of 97 people who have played Survivor Canada, and I'm glad that I got to share the season with the two of you and our experiences. Where can people find, so Chris, you are the showrunner of Survivor New York. Where can people learn more about Survivor New York? Are you casting right now? Is there anything else you want to tell people you're up to, or that you have been up to since Survivor BC?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been focusing on Survivor New York and building the brand. The first 4 seasons of Survivor New York are out on YouTube. Just look up Survivor New York, or you can find us on Instagram, Survivor New York, or Facebook, Survivor New York. Currently editing and working on season 5, and hopefully applications will be out soon for season 6 and 7. I am also producing and working on doing a live Big Brother game here in New York. So there's a lot of things happening in that regard, and hopefully I'll be playing a live game again too, somewhere down the road. And I also work on production for Survivor Brooklyn South, one of the best LRGs, one-day LRGs out there too.
Kevin, you already kind of spoiled what your life's been up to with the birth of your daughter. Is there anything else you want to talk about that's happened over the past couple of years, or are things going on right now?
It's pretty much been baby and then COVID. Like that's the two big ones right there. Yeah, that's my foreseeable future. I haven't played any live reality games since. Who knows if I go back to one, in a year or two. I'd love to maybe come back to Survivor BC, see if if I still have it in my old age.
Well, I for one am hoping Survivor BC does Survivor pre-merge players for many reasons. And I hear this is a great game in New York. Maybe you should consider looking into it once things calm down in your life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, or maybe someday I'll do Blood versus Water with Birdie. Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, you're truly planning long term, right?
Yeah, I have a Survivor little onesie for her, so she's gonna wear it.
I look forward to seeing the photos. Chris, Kevin, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, for coming on and talking about this episode and your experience in Survivor BC. For everyone who's tuned in and listened, thank you so much as well. Survivors BC episode 4 will be coming out hopefully this next Sunday, and there will be exciting things to come, so stay tuned. And Chris and Kevin, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.